Assalamu alaikum friends, welcome back. This is the third video in the skill management, and we shall see how to make use of the objects in the qualification catalog by creating, displaying and changing profiles. So as we discussed that broadly speaking, uh, when these qualifications in the qualification catalog, when these qualifications are linked with any position, and then the resultant profile is known as the requirement profile in SAP terminology. So we can assume it, we can say this is a sort of job specifications that in order to perform this job, these qualifications are required. So we actually connect the qualifications to actually a particular position, and this results in a requirement profile or job specifications. On the other hand, when we connect these qualifications to employees, persons, then the resultant profile in SAP is known as the qualification profile, and it is a sort of profile of that particular person, that that person actually has these qualifications. So in order to display these profiles, we use this T code PPPD, and in order to change this profile, we use this T code PPPM. And keep in mind that profiles are automatically created once an employee is hired, so we don't need to create a profile is by default blank, so we just need to change it if we want to insert some object in this profile. Let's go to the change T code, and keep in mind if we want to insert some new object, create some new object, some new qualification, only then we should use this T code, which is change T code. Otherwise, if we are just want to find out some object, find out something, have a query, then we should refer to the display T code, because in the change T code, when we are working on any one position or person, then system locks that position or person, and nobody else can actually access that person or position. So if the task is to just to find out something, some data, then preferably we should use the display T code. But if the task is to create some object, then we should come over here in actually changing it. So here we can see that these profiles, these qualifications, so this is the change profile. So the profile can be uh, assigned, the profile can be for a person, the profile can be for a user, the profile can be for an applicant who has a sort of candidate, the profile can be created for positions. So these two profiles, the position and the person, these are the two important ones which we shall be working on, but these are the other objects for which a qualification can, a profile can be created. So we can see there are too many objects for which any profile can be created. When we say profile can be created, it means that the qualifications can be assigned to these objects. And let's go to person. Let's say I call a person person number, say I want to edit the qualification of person number 1. If I have the personal number, then I should preferably use the free search, and since I know the personal number, I should use personal number. If I don't know the personal number, then preferably I should use personal data, and I should search the person by first name, last name, or whatever data I have. So personal number is 1, so I press it 1. This is the employee whose profile I want to change, John Davis. As soon as you double click this, his profile appears on the right hand side menu, and we can actually create new objects right from here. So I press create, and the system takes me to the qualification catalog, right? So here we can actually select the qualifications we want to assign to this particular employee. Keep in mind, sometime you are not confronted with this video when you actually press this new button, create button, but you might actually be taken to a video something like this search term, right? So if this video is there, we can actually search the qualification by search term. We can search the qualification by structure. By structure we mean that we actually call the qualification catalog, and we can search with by abbreviation, and there are some other criterias, but we actually prefer to search the qualification through the structure. So this is the structure search, and if you go to again to other criteria, you can click this button, other search criteria, and the system will automatically take you to other search criteria. So anyway, I want to assign, for example, certification of PMP and security guard, and I also want to assign certification of PhD to this particular employee in masters, and I want to assign experience of sales and management, and I press enter. selecting these 6 objects, and you see that these objects are copied here, and I have to mention the proficiencies. 2 proficiencies have already been mentioned because they are on a yes no scale. So PMP and security guard are on yes no scale, so they have already been mentioned here because they are either no or either yes. For the rest of them, we have to mention the proficiency. So let's press F4 or click this button to see what does different IDs means. So let's say it is 5, and let's say it is 4, so I just type it. Let's say management experience, so let's see what does experience means. So there are 4 categories. So let's say he has a management experience of 5 to 8 years, and he has a sales experience of I just pressed 3 and pressed enter, 2 years to 4 years. And having done this, I just have to press save so that his profile is actually saved. And as we did discuss in class, that for persons, it is not just a qualification profile which we can maintain the potentials profile. What are the potentials of this particular person? What are the preferences of this particular person? What are the dislikes of this particular person? And these are the appraisals which we shall discuss in the next module. But here, at least these 3 are very important constituents of his profile, because he can mention his own preferences in over here, and he can mention his dislikes over here, and his manager can actually mention his potential over here. And keep in mind that in the qualification profile over here, we can just add qualifications. So whenever you click create button, the system takes you to the qualification catalog. But in the potentials and preferences and dislikes, we can add much more than the qualifications. So if we create it, for example, the system asks you, do you want to add a job as a potential, a position as a potential, a qualification as a potential, a task as a potential, or a work center as a potential? And we can add some other objects as well. There is a way to add other objects. Similarly, if you go to preferences, you can see that if you create a preference for himself, he can mention a preference for a particular position he wants to be, say, although he is the CEO of the company, so he should not have any other preference. But if he is at a level below that, he can actually offer a higher position, show his preferences for. He can show his preferences for the qualification, that if chance is provided or the company funds, he will like to pursue these qualifications and these tasks and these particular departments or work centers. And he can mention his dislikes as well. So this was about the qualification of a person. Now, if in the second phase, we are going to update the qualification of a position. So when we go to position, we can see that the position can be searched either by search term or by the structure. Keep in mind that in structure, when visualized imaging in the context of position, means PPOM, or PPOS means the organization plan. When structure is actually in the context of qualifications, it is actually the qualification catalog. So anyway, there is no free search over here, which should be there. So it's one of the Jano German feature which we use to label it. And structure search. So let's say I want to update the position of CEO. So in the structure search, this is the paramount structure we are working on, and somebody erroneously actually created this structure outside the main structure. So anyway, we come here, and I want to actually uh, update this profile of this particular position, company CEO. So if I double click John Davis, right, so you will see the position profile of John Davis here, which is already here, and these are his qualifications. But if I want to update the position profile of the position, company CEO, so I double click CEO, and this is actually the profile of the position. And for position, we don't have preferences or potential or something like this. We just have requirements. So what sort of qualifications are required for this particular position? So we just click create over here, and the system again takes us to the qualification catalog. And in the qualification catalog, we can say, for example, we need a qualification of PhD and masters, for example, and we need a work experience of management only. So these are the only 3 things we need for this particular position. And we see that the proficiency required for the education, say, is 4. The required for the PhD is also 4, and the work experience required is 4 for all the 3. So we can have some other numbers as well, and we just save it. And now data has been saved. So the position CEO or the profile of the position is updated, the profile of John Davis is updated. Since this position is actually held by John Davis, or we can say that John Davis actually occupies this position, and currently we are on position, so system automatically shows us the current holder. So if we want to compare these job specifications requirements of the position with what contained by John Davis, the person, we can just go to the current holder and the system will show us a very comprehensive and nice looking comparison. So this is a sort of comparison. So you can see in the yellow it shows the position company CEO, in the green it shows the person John Davis, and for example in the education group, masters is a qualification and it is yellow. Yellow means position and green means person. So the position requires a scale of 4 but the person has a scale of 5. So you see the green bar is longer than the yellow one. In the PhD, both the position and person have 4, so the two bars are equal. In the second group work experienced management, both have 4, so the two bars are equal, and since it is the maximum one, so it is the maximum bar over here. Here the maximum is 6, that's why there is some space over here. And now these were the only 3 things required by the position, and now this is only for the person, right? So this is only for the John Davis. There is no requirement for these 2 qualifications, these 3 qualifications which Mr. John Davis has. So he has a PMP certification, yes. Yes is a full scale, there is yes and no, so there is no half scale. And security guard, yes, he is this certification, and he has a management sales experience as well of 2 to 4 years, so which is another qualification he maintains. So there is no yellow bar because these are not required actually by the organization and the position. So this is the way we can see the comparison. We can actually convert this comparison from a sort of graph look to a table look, right? And we go back and we can have some sort of graphical view as well. So this is the graphical view, and there are plenty of other features over here. We don't have that much time to actually discuss all of them, and we simply go back and we see that we are back on the profile. So this was when we were on the profile of the position. We see the current holder there. Similarly, if we are on the profile of the person, so this is the profile of the person, we see the current position here. So it's just the other way around, and again we can see the comparison, and here is almost the same comparison. So we go back, and this was about creating new objects, creating new profiles, not the objects but the profiles, and comparing the profiles. And in the next video we shall see how to actually locate some of the objects and see their profile based on certain criteria. Thank you.